You gotta know a day. Today we're going to talk about this dude here who really liked peas. This dude did lots and lots of experiments with peas. He bred the plants together, looked at how traits change. He did some of the first experiments really in genetics. And let's talk about some of the breakthroughs he came up with. First and foremost, he came up with something called the Law of Segregation. That's where, if you could see here, these are chromosomes. He didn't know they were chromosomes. But he figured out if plants had two different flavors of a gene, these flavors are called alleles, then in the gametes, basically the egg or sperm that they pass on, they're only going to get one of those flavors. They're going to be segregated from each other. You can think of this like segregation we had here in America, where people were segregated into different groups. The law of segregation is about segregation of alleles into the gametes. They're not all going to go together. They're going to be separated. Mendel also discovered something called the law of independent assortment. So we know these chromosomes are going to sort into their separate alleles from the law of segregation. With the independent assortment, it doesn't matter if you got some from your mom, some from your dad. They're going to sort independently into those gametes. So you might get 2 from your mom and 1 from your dad. If we call it, blue dad, red mom. You might get 2 and 1 the other way. You might get 2 and 1 the other way. So they're going to assort completely independent of one another. Chromosomes are independent. That's the independent assortment piece. They're as independent as good old America. That's what I think he probably was thinking about with the law here. He had 7 traits that he studied: color, flower color, seed color, plant height, pod color, different shapes. These are the 7 traits. And most of what he did was something called hybridizing plants, where you take 2 pure types of plants, true breeding plants is what they call them, and then you breed them together. And you get something called a hybrid plant. And then, that's called the F1 generation. This is the parent generation that were the true. You allow them to self-fertilize, basically fertilize themselves, and then you look at what results. And he counted, how many of each type he got, and that's how he figured out his ratios and laws. This one, 705 to 224, is pretty close to a 3-to-1 ratio. He got this 3-to-1 ratio very, very, very frequently when he did true breeding, and then allowed the hybrids to breed together. This 3-to-1 ratio suggests one is dominant, one is recessive. However, he might have fudged his data a little bit. It was almost every single experiment. He got this nice, pretty 3-to-1 ratio. This statistician, R.A. Fisher, said there was about a 7 in 100,000 chance that he actually got the data that he did. He still did great experiments, and they helped us understand genetics in a way that had never been studied before. But I don't know that they were exactly as perfect as what he reported. Some other trivia about Mendel: he studied under someone named Christian Doppler in Vienna, and his book where he published his laws is called Experiments in Plant Hybridization. And that's Gregor Mendel.